Thank you for joining the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan organization that's over 100 years old. We are focused on voter education, and today we're going to be talking to Dr. William Flythe, a Democrat that's running for the school board in Brunswick County. Bill lives in Southport in District 3, and he has to run for that office. He has to live in District 3, but everybody in the county gets to vote for one of those two candidates. The League supports democracy. We really strongly believe that candidates should be accessible during the election cycle and also if they are elected. We're having a conversation today because we couldn't organize a forum due to a lack of response from the other two candidates. So yesterday we talked to Democrat Cameron Hankins, and that interview has already been posted on our YouTube channel and on the website, the League of Women Voters of the Lower Cape Fear. So we're going to talk to Dr. Flythe, and before we get started with our questions, Bill, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
First of all, Marilyn, I'd like to thank you and the League of Women Voters for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and my concerns with you in regards to Brunswick County Schools. If you have any trouble hearing me, just let me know. Okay, raise your hand or whatever. Okay. But as you indicated, Bill Flythe, I'm a candidate for the District 3 seat on the Brunswick County Board of Education. I'm a resident of Southport. I lived in Southport for about 45 years. I have two grown sons. My wife, Beatrice, who was a school nurse. So I indicate from time to time that I'm uniquely qualified to serve on the board because of my education and work experience. I have 2 degrees in chemistry, BS in chemistry from Johnson Smith University in Charlotte, PhD degree in physical organic chemistry from Howard University in Washington, D.C. 20 years was spent in the pharmaceutical and chemical industries, working as a quality control chemist and a senior laboratory supervisor. Approximately 15 years was spent in the classroom at a high school and college level, teaching chemistry, physical science, and or physics. Also spent 5 years on the Brunswick County Planning Board and 5 years as treasurer of the Brunswick County Democratic Party. I've spent over 35 years and continue to work with a student-oriented group called ROCME, Regional Council for the Advancement of Minorities in Engineering. And I may have more to say about that later. But that's basically my history.
Thank you, Bill. We noticed that in your Port City Daily interview, one of their questions was, what are your top 3 concerns for the school system in Brunswick County? And I read that you listed teacher shortage and pay, the censorship of books and course content, and the COVID-19 responses. So one at a time, let's talk about a little bit about each of these, starting with teacher shortage and pay. I'd like you to explain why you think that's a problem and what are the solutions.
Okay, Marilyn, I'd like to update those issues because I just realized last night probably this morning, when I went to the NAAC website and they had a link to the Port City Daily, that they had the earlier version of the question that was posted in April of this year. Now the post in September, but maybe about a month or so ago, have these 3 concerns. If you don't mind, I want to address.
Go ahead, start with the first one.
Right. Yeah, if the top 3 concerns within the school district and how you plan to address them. I indicated they're similar but somewhat different as to what you shared. My top 3 concerns are teacher shortage, achievement gap or gaps among students, and growing division between teachers and parents. and you wanted me to say more. Okay, you wanted
On the first
the
one, please.
the teacher shortage. I said that board members should work with commissioners to raise the local salary supplement to a level that would make Brunswick County salaries competitive to those in New Hanover County and as well as Horry County, where we are losing a significant number of our teachers. And I also indicated, maybe not in this questionnaire, but in another one, that the Board of Commissioners had an opportunity recently to work with the Board of Education in raising the local salary supplement without having to raise taxes on citizens. They could have used the federal funds from the American Rescue Plan Act to raise the salaries, the total salary, the salary supplement to the same level as New Hanover County using some of these funds. Unfortunately, they chose to use a significant amount of these funds for the sheriff department and the school system. Okay. Do you want to continue with others? Or?
Well, I think I heard you say an achievement gap.
Yes. And that's really the primary concern that I have with the school system now. I found out in a recent survey that on the North Carolina, let's see, in terms of the state exams, based upon this report, you had students divided into 4 demographic groups, and the passing rate of proficiency rate among these students varied from 74% down to 26% in one group. That meant that 3 out of every 4 students who took the state exam did not pass. And that's unfortunate. And that's something that I want to address if I fortunate to join the board. And the way I can do that, I will consider such strategies that involve in STEM activities and remediation that would target at-risk students to close the achievement gap. Okay. And of course, major emphasis will be on the promoting the STEM curriculum.
All right, and then you had a third concern listed about had something to do with parents and.
Yes, I indicated my concern about a growing division between teachers and parents. I know in some states, probably some counties in the state of North Carolina, but definitely in other states, you have groups called parent rights groups. And I think that's unfortunate because that's putting a lot of pressure on teachers. And you find some of them probably, I know if I was still in the classroom, I'll be looking over my shoulder and wondering if some of the students are working as spies, going back and telling their parents what they don't like about the class and whatnot. So what I would do if I become a member of the board is promote, as they say, why reinvent the wheel? I would promote such established groups as the PTA and advisory council. And I know how important they are and how influential they can be in dealing with school problems. For example, I served as president of the local PTA at the elementary school in Southport when my son was in school. And then when they reached high school age, I served on the advisory council. And I know that these established groups can be used to bring unity between the teachers and the parents. We should not be promoting divisions like maybe one political party is doing.
Okay, thank you, Bill. What effect or impact do you think that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on students and teachers? And what can the school board do to help catch up?
Oh, the COVID-19 had a tremendous effect on students as well as teachers, especially students. Now, the results that I mentioned earlier in regards to proficiency, passing rate on state exams, those were the results that the school system or the state obtained at the end of the COVID-19 year, that is May 2021. And one of the things that I noted, I said in one of the questionnaires that I completed during this election cycle is that if they haven't already done so, the school system should search to try to find what I call these COVID-19 dropouts of lost students. And I didn't even think they were included in that survey in which we had those really depressing results on proficiency. So they also would have to use strategies similar to what I suggested, including the achievement gap. And of course, they have to include remediation. I know that we have some remediation programs now during the school year. We should expand those programs and also implement or expand remediation programs during the summer session. We need to do whatever it takes in order to improve the academic performance of our students.
Thank you. One question as a League of Women Voters member, as we're interested in having students become good citizens, does the school system have any role in this? Can the board encourage civics education? I know that there is a requirement for civics education.
In terms of students, preparing students to serve as citizens, I indicated that the board should encourage civics and history teachers to base their courses upon the facts. A whitewashed version of history should not be allowed. The basic operation of local, state, and federal government should be studied. The board should rely on guidelines established over many years for restricting student access to certain books. There should not be a knee-jerk response in regards to the banning of books. And then, of course, classes and finances should be optional in middle school and mandatory in high school. Students need to know the importance of savings and the proper use of credit cards. And in regards to the whitewashing of our history, I know that I had an experience during high school in which we received current event booklets. I'm not sure if it's weekly, monthly, but in those current events, specifically in regards to fights or wars, it seems that the United States always won the wars or the battles. And that confused me. Why? Because as a Sunday school student at the time, I realized that the good guys didn't always win. So I was really confused there for a while. And only when I became an adult that I realized that the information that I was getting was whitewash history, and that should not be the case.
Thank you. Thank you. So you ranked pre-K as very important in our Vote 411 survey, and I want to stop for a minute and thank you for answering those questions. Vote411.org is a website that the League has where voters can just enter their address and go to My Races, and the whole set of candidates come up. And you can see that some candidates answered the questions and some didn't. And I want to thank Bill for answering those every time we've asked. But one of the questions was, please rank how important pre-K is and tell us why.
Okay. And I indicated in the questionnaire that pre-K classes are pre-K education is very important. I said that since students do not have the same socioeconomic background, these classes give teachers an opportunity to level the playing field. These classes would lay the foundation for student success in later years. It has been shown that there is a correlation between student achievement and the prison population. As the number of students in pre-K classes increase, the number of inmates in prison decreased. And I know that was the same correlation that was used in comparing the enrollment of students in Sunday school with the prisoner population. And I see, so anyway, we need to increase the number of pre-K classes. And I think it's important. And unfortunately, over the years, I know that one year in particular, during the past 10 years, I don't remember which year it was, the North Carolina General Assembly, state politicians received funding, additional funding for pre-K classes. But once they got the funds in the state, the politicians decided to use these funds for other uses. And I think that's really, really a bad situation. And that's why we need to get positive thinking politicians in these offices, not only at the state level or federal level, but at the local level as well, like the Board of Education and the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you. So I understand, and you mentioned in your introduction that you were on the planning board for Brunswick County, and we're wondering what the relationship is between the school board, the Board of Commissioners, and the planning board to address this huge growth that's occurring in our county and how it impacts the overcrowding in the schools. Do you see a role for those boards to work together? And if so, how can they work together to plan for the influx of students?
Yeah, I don't answer that question in terms of the Port City Daily. I'm not sure if I addressed that problem in regards to the League of Women Voters. But anyway, I realize how important it is for me to have a background as a member of the Brunswick County Planning Board, because as you indicated, we do have tremendous growth in the county. I know when I served on the board, probably about 8 or 10 years or so ago, Brunswick County was the 14th fastest growing county, not only in the state, but in the nation. And so when it was time for the citizens of Brunswick County to vote on the school bond issue, $150 million school bond issue, I not only voted for it, but I went out throughout the county and promoted, this bond. Even though as a Democrat, I was making really the all Republican board look good, but I was putting the interest of the students ahead of my personal goals. So in the case of my experience on the board, I realized that as you approve these various housing development, you not only have to be concerned with the number of houses you have in the development and maybe green space and whatnot, you also have to be concerned with the number of schools. So that's why it's so important that I have that background in regards to the planning board. So I know that you have to plan not just for next year, but for the next 10 or 15 years. So that would allow me, when we're making a decision in terms of balancing the funding for educational needs versus building needs, I know that, hey, we can't make that decision alone. We need to go reach out to the planning board along with the commissioners to kind of guide us along the way in planning the number of schools and the size of these schools. So yes, we need to use the planning board to help us. Oh, and one other thing one other point I wanted to make is that I always believe that you should spend more on the schoolhouse than the jailhouse. So I, for at least the past 10 or 15 years, have been following the county budget in regards to the amount of funds spent on in the sheriff department versus the school district. And I became alarmed some years ago, a few years ago, when the amount of funding for the sheriff department tilted too much in their direction instead of the schools. So if I became a member of the board, I would use that tracking system as a guide in terms of balancing the amount of funding that we allocate to building as versus educational needs.
So you see that expenditure as a preventative measure then to prevent children from ending up in the sheriff's.
Yes, right.
system.
Yeah, definitely.
I understand.
Definitely.
All right, so we've used up about 30 minutes, and I'd like for you, if you'd want to, Bill, just give us a little summary statement and tell voters why they should vote for you.
As I indicated, I'm uniquely qualified to serve on the Board of Education because of my education and my work experience. I have experience, as I indicated, on the planning board. Also served as treasurer of the Brunswick County Democratic Party for about 5 years, dealing with financial issues. And also served, work in the community as well as the school with an organization called Rockman, Regional Council for the Advancement of Minorities in Engineering. And that's an organization that try to promote, offer STEM events, STEM opportunities for minority students in grades 6 through 12. Maybe I need to just briefly quickly review my goals and issues, which as I indicated earlier, I'm concerned I want to increase public funding so that we can increase teacher salaries and therefore retain them. Also want to increase the achievement of all students. And I indicated concern I had with the low performance for the minority students on state exams and strategies such as promoting STEM curriculums and RockMe, that type of thing, that would be important. Also want to promote partnership among teachers, parents, and businesses. As I indicated earlier, there should be an active line of communication between parents and teachers. We do not need to promote division, we need to promote unity. And then in terms of the business community, we need them to provide volunteers as well as financial support. And I don't know, I just think that I'm the best person for a position on the Brunswick County Board of Education. Oh, by the way, you can go to my website, www.flytheeducation.com, and you'll get more information about my goals, my concerns. Also, letters to the editor, and just a lot of important information dealing with education. And I thank you, Marilyn and the League of Women Voters, for giving me this opportunity to share my vision with the public, today.
Well, thank you, Bill. And I know you're really busy campaigning this time of year, and you have all these other responsibilities with your church and your Rockaby students. So
Yes.
we really appreciate you taking your time to talk to us. And we're going to post this on a YouTube and a website and share it with you so you can spread it. And again, we would love to have had a forum, but we weren't able to arrange that this year. So we're hoping that in the future, everybody will participate. But thank you again.
Yeah, and Marilyn, if you would just share the website or the YouTube.
It'll be a YouTube link. It'll be a YouTube link.
YouTube link, so then I can share with my supporters as well.
Okay, and And everybody that gets to see this video, I hope that you'll go to vote411.org, because not only are the candidate responses in there, the entire site is translatable into Spanish. If you have any friends or neighbors that would, it would be more convenient for them, because there's a lot of information on the site about how to register to vote, where you go to vote, what the voting hours are, who the candidates are, what you have to do if you're the first time voter, those kind, and requirements to get an absentee ballot. So it's full of information. It comes directly from the Board of Elections, so it's accurate. And we hope that you use this really cool tool that the league has provided. It works nationwide. So if you have friends, neighbors, family that live in other states, you can refer them also to that website. So thank you again, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.